Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dream of owning a home or investing in one. Today, let's talk about the New York Times article that came out regarding President Trump only paying $750 in taxes. Yes, many people are shocked, dismayed, upset, angry, and they're yelling at their accountants and financial advisors because they make way less than he does and are paying a whole lot more. Well, I want to give some insight, some background so that you guys can understand what is going on or how it is that he has gotten away with paying so little. Okay. Granted, I personally, I'm not an accountant or a financial advisor. I don't have his documents, but I do know a trick or two, if you will. First of all, as many of you are aware, Donald Trump is in the real estate business. In real estate, we have 21 extra standard common deductions that people who are not in real estate don't have, particularly, especially those who are renting an apartment somewhere. Okay. And granted, just please note that I said 21 common. There could be more that he's taking advantage of that neither myself nor you are aware of. Okay. But I did go to a long time ago at the Jacob Javits Center. Both Donald Trump and Robert Kiyosaki, they had a real estate school where they had all of their advisors come in, and Donald Trump actually also spoke as well. And they discussed some of the things that they deduct that I know that most people don't think about deducting. They also mentioned about having a bank account in their child's name, as well as hiring your children to do work for you in real estate. I also would not be surprised if one of the properties that he owns is in his child's name, because see, you can have something called an ESA account, an educational savings account, set up for your child, and that account can actually hold real estate, and all the profits that you make from that house goes directly into that account. Wi-Fi is deductible from that account because your child needs Wi-Fi in order to connect to the computer so that they can do their homework. And now that it is COVID-19, they need to connect to their computer just to do schoolwork, regular schoolwork. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is this: many of you have things in your home or apartment that is not deductible. For example, you have a pet. Pets typically are not deductible. But if you have a guard dog, which I'm pretty sure he has, a guard dog is deductible. Clothing that has his name on it is deductible. It's considered advertising. When you go and you buy his clothes, you're advertising for him in a way. You don't realize it, but you cannot deduct that from your taxes. Miles, when he travels to his properties, that's tax deductible because it's to check up on or to do business with someone, with probably the property managers or the developers or contractors and what have you. All of that is tax deductible, and all of those are deductions, examples of deductions that regular people who are not in real estate, who do not own real estate, do not have. On top of all of these deductions that you get in real estate, there's also something called depreciation, which is 127.5%. Donald Trump owns more than one building. If you do not own a building, you cannot claim depreciation. The next thing with Donald Trump is a businessman. His properties are in an LLC. At least that's what he said at that conference. Plus, he has other businesses that he owned. I know that he used to have Trump Education. I'm not sure if that is still around. I know he has written books. He had the TV show, of course. He has the jet airplanes. So you're talking about having an extra set of deductions. There's like 37 extra common deductions you get when you own a business. There's really more than that. It's just that it really depends on what business a person is in and what they did that particular year in order to qualify for those deductions. Also, I forgot to add is this. In real estate, there's something called being a real estate professional. If you spend more than 750 hours a year just doing real estate alone, you are considered a real estate professional and you get additional deductions that someone who's just a real estate investor would get. Okay? Next, he probably, I know he does, take advantage of the 1031 exchange when he's selling his buildings. The next thing that I know of him is let me go back into the business. Lunch. Many times when regular people go out with friends and have lunch, they have to pay the bill. But when you are a businessman like Donald Trump and you go out and you have lunch, even if it's with a friend, it's normally a business lunch, because reading his book, The Deal, and a couple of other books, he's mentioned that all of his friends are people in high places, not just politicians, but bankers, people who own the bank, so that if he needs a loan, he can get it right away. It doesn't take him as long as, let's say, myself or some of you who listen to the podcast or who listen to me on YouTube. Okay. So when he sits down and he has lunch with them, yes, they may talk it up and talk about what's going on in their personal lives, but trust me, they're also talking about deals. They're also talking about getting loans. They're also talking about changing laws, which is something that many of us are not privy to. That's one of the reasons why networking is so important. That's why they say your net worth is based on your network. Okay? It's who you know and who knows you is very valuable and very important. The next thing that I definitely know he does is he has set up certain tax havens. There are certain countries where you pay no tax. Okay? He has LLCs set up in those particular places. He has P.O. boxes set up in those particular places like Cayman Islands. Then you have other places where you do pay tax, but it's at a reduced amount, such as Panama City in Panama, right? So even if he has to pay tax, he's paying tax to the people to the government of that country. He's not paying taxes to the government of the United States. Now, in the United States, you do have to pay taxes wherever you go, but there are certain countries where you don't. There are certain countries, such as Panama, where even though you make money over there, because you pay taxes to that government, you don't necessarily have to pay taxes to the United States. Or if you do pay taxes to the United States, it's a small amount. It's at a lower amount. Now, the other thing that I wanted to touch on is bankruptcy. We all know that Donald Trump has filed for bankruptcy on more than one occasion. When you file for bankruptcy, it allows you to delay or defer your taxes, rather. If you have not ever filed for bankruptcy, then you are not going to be able to take advantage of any tax exemptions or tax deferment or whatever the bankruptcy gives you, all right, that he's able to take advantage of. If you don't have what he has, again, you really don't really have much of a dog in this fight, honestly. And then lastly, the other thing that Trump does, and I know that for a fact he does this, is he has charities. You see, he buys things in his, like cars, for example, under the name of his charity. So that means that the whole car is tax deductible. That's another thing that many people of wealth are able to do. When they set up their charity, they'll make claim that they need X, Y, and Z. Like, for example, he needs a plane to fly food over to this country in order to feed the poor children. So the plane, the gas, the fuel to fill up the plane, the staff, everything is tax deductible because it's done within his charity. So guys, please calm down when it comes to speaking to your accountants. I've heard that many of them have gotten cursed out. But if you do not have what Donald Trump has, you really can't get mad at your accountant. And then the other thing that I need to point out that I've mentioned before in previous podcasts is that you really need to educate yourself on the tax code. You will find, once you read it, and you can go to irs.gov or you can go to overdrive.com, which is connected to your local library, download it onto your phone or tablet and read it for yourself. There are books that break it down for you to make it easy to understand, because the real IRS publication is difficult. But once you read it, you will realize that you are to a certain degree at fault. You have to present, or you have to tell your accountant what it is that you do. If you don't tell your accountant that XYZ happened to you and you don't show them a receipt, they are not going to know to deduct that from your taxes. Now, granted, my accountant, he will have me fill out a questionnaire to make sure I am taking away all of my deductions. And if he notices anything different from one year to another year, like if I don't submit a 1040 or some other form to him, he will call me or he will email me, sometimes both, and say, you had this last year. How come I don't see this year? What's going on? Okay. The accountant that I have, he is that way. But there were other instances, there were other times, like, for example, when I was on disability, I didn't think that I needed to tell him because I was thinking, well, it's none of his business, right? At first, but then he's like, no, I need to know these things. It matters. It counts. There's certain paperwork that I need to fill out when I'm doing your taxes to reflect that you were on disability. And I have a feeling that I am not the only one that this has happened to. Because see, I was only on disability like for a couple of months. I've never really been on disability like for a whole entire year per se, if you know what I mean. So that is my 2 cents as far as why Donald Trump, why his payment may be so low, and also to encourage you. I know it may sound like I'm scolding, but really I want to encourage you guys to go out there and educate yourself so that you know what to do better next time, and you'll have a higher refund, if anything. And tell you the truth, for some of you, getting a refund is actually not a good thing. It's actually a bad thing because that means that you overpaid in your taxes, right? Lastly, I do see some people out here that are applauding Trump for being able to just pay that little bit of amount. But I say hold your applause. Do not applaud too soon. And the reason why is because back in 2014, when I started my company, I went to SCORE. SCORE, for those of you who don't know, is a nonprofit organization that gives free advice to entrepreneurs. These people are former entrepreneurs, former business owners. They try to match you up with people who are in the same field as you. And they're retired, so they have nothing to do, so that this is their way of giving back. Well, when I was in the office, I told them real estate was what I wanted to do. I told them, they actually saw the book that I had in my hand from Donald Trump. They told me to be very careful. They said that the U.S. government was investigating him for a long time. This is before he was nominated president of the United States of America. This is before the students of Trump University sued him. Actually, it was like months before those students came and sued him. So please just be mindful and be careful. We really don't have all of the evidence or all of the paperwork, or let me say it this way, the news media has not presented all of the paperwork, and it hasn't really been deciphered fully yet. Plus, another thing I know about Donald Trump is he has very good lawyers. I have seen cases where on paper the person was guilty, and in other instances the person was definitely innocent. But because of who the judge was, because of the lawyers that represented them, because of maybe also the jury, I'm not sure if this is going to be trial before jury, but because of all of these things, the person did not get the result that I had expected or that other people had expected. And all lawyers will tell you they'll say, yes, you're innocent or what have you, but they always say to you that they cannot guarantee the outcome of your case. So to all of my real estate comrades out there, please be careful. Please do not follow everything. I know many of you look up to Donald Trump. As many of you know, I'm not all that crazy about him at all. Please just be careful in siding with him. You have not read the papers. You don't know what the outcome is. Trust me, there is more to come. I am someone who has been working for a law firm for the past 21 years. Yes, granted in the IT department, but there are things that I know from past experience. So, guys, that's all I have for you tonight. Hopefully, the information that I shared will help you make smart financial and maybe even voting moves. Feel free to pass this along to all that you know. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.